I mean, I think that the artist's physical participation in the work, even if that is a projected idea, because certainly I think the best of what's happening in new media somehow reflects that grappling with the material that the artist has. So it's not necessarily always the hand per se, but it's that engagement, it's the sense of that engagement. And so for me, that's sort of what the craft part is.
And I realized I kind of preempted the introductions by launching into a question, so could we just go through and just tell us a little bit more about your interest in collage, especially if some of the audience members missed your lecture last night?
Sure. Well, my involvement with collage, which really grew out of my study in art history, was, well, actually, I shouldn't say that. It was more of an accidental thing. But in short, I started a gallery 16 years ago that's specialized in collage, but it's collage in the broadest sense of the word. So, like the exhibition that you see around you, it is. I'm interested in all the permutations of this idea of collage, all the way up to film, digital media, etc. And it's really more. It's less collage as a medium and more as a mode of perception. And like you said before, collage is everything, it's everywhere. So I think about it in the way that we perceive our daily lives, etc. So in addition to the gallery in later years, I started the International Collage Center 2 years ago with the idea of creating a resource, meaning a lending and research collection and a library and archive that would be a springboard for any curator, researcher, artist, interested party to work from. So even this panel discussion is an opportunity to take this and use it as an opportunity for dialogue and for community, etc.
And I think I addressed some of my sort of interest and backgrounds in the first part of the discussion. My interest in collage, photo montage, assemblages comes from the words that we heard last night in Pavel's lecture and from Jen's introduction, words that I jotted down that included fragments, which I love this Stephen Hall connection of accumulated history, the visual and tactile realm, and one thinks of the city as being a collage of things that transcend image and sight. I think the one thing we can maybe branch into today is, can collage go beyond the pure visual, and how does it do that? But you also talked about visual poetry, which talks about, last night in your lecture, that was one of your key words, and that talks about the issue of literature and literature's tie into art. And I think that's very important to the way that we work in terms of the written language of architecture. So in one sense, the visual poetry, the writing, but also my obsession with the artistic conscience, the creative act. How does one create? How does one begin to collect pieces that become the ammunition or the firepower to create objects or visual arguments that have meaning? So this artistic conscience is something that is a collage. It's sort of the genetics, the DNA of how one thinks and how one combines thoughts and friendships and great meals and amazing pieces of music in one's artistic process. And Freud says that's impossible. In Creative Writers and Daydreaming, he says when it comes to the artist, we're at a loss because we can't recreate magic in the creative process. But I believe that through collage and through collecting certain pieces, I mean, Paul, you said last night, the key is having something to say, right? And so in the end, the pieces are hard to find in terms of, if you look around, there's just beautiful objects that are being assembled here, but also having a critical eye and having something important to say. And then the final thing you said last night was a language that rises. I thought that was beautiful, this kind of idea that you take these dead objects and in that there's this kind of phoenix that comes out of them through collage.
I wish it was my phrase.
Okay. Well, I mean, again, it's collage, right?
I lifted it.
But it gets recomposed in new ways, and I'm probably distorting these things and creating new ways. So in terms of being a teacher in architecture, the process is very important, the idea of the artistic conscience and how that begins to sort of tie into systems of making. I think we as architects have always been more closely related. Perhaps I was thinking about this a lot in the lecture and dinner last night, to the way we work. We work at a scale where we construct lines and we cut pieces. And so we're always in a kind of a very made realm which works at the scale of collage, right? Not the kind of gallery size of the kind of typical painting when you think of that scale. And so I wonder if architecture's always been had more access to sort of the techniques of collage and in the way of our own process. And I don't know if that's the case or not, but I think yes.
It's always hard, you bring out all these quotes. I love to remind things.
It's scattered.
Yeah, but it's great.
Cool.
Yeah, it is. I think that for me, I can't separate things, and that it can be very helpful in my process and very much a problem in my process sometimes too. But that this idea that everything is connected. And so because I believe that, and because I can see that happen, it makes collage very interesting to me. And so whether that is connecting disciplines, which is what I'm most interested in thinking about lately, and there's these two designers, Lucien and Rebecca Wright, Lucien Roberts and Rebecca Wright, and they have a design firm called Graphic Design and if you can go to graphicdesignand.com, and they've got, they're starting to put together this book about how design connects to chemistry, and how design connects to music, and how design connects to this and that, and it's starting to really pull together, and they're also compiling works from everybody, which is another way of collage, right? And a lot of interactive work and online work is going in that direction. And when I think of Daniel Edock, who is crowdsourcing images from other people to create en masse ideas. But this, I guess it's, and then there's also the idea of you could think of it as a very small idea of omission, subtraction, and addition, right? And the kinds of processes that we use when we actually make some collages. We take things out, we add things to them, right? And what happens as a result of that. But that's the way our lives are. I mean, we selectively pick things out and keep them in our heads, and then so we omit a lot of things for the way we want our lives to be, and we add new things in the way we want our lives to be. So it's just one big ball of stuff. So I'm interested.
I feel like I should omit more than I do.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
I don't know if I'm interested in collage. I mean, I don't understand it. It's like appropriation. Like, what is who cares? Appropriation, like, what are you doing? What are you stealing a quote or something? No, it's like, that's what museums are for. They're like your paint palette. You can go to a museum and take whatever you want and just, that's a cool painting. I'm going to use that in my painting, So I don't know if I'm interested in collage, because I'm interested in it as what it originally meant, but I'm not sure what it means today. So I guess I'm interested in anything that lets me talk about Kanye West and the Ambassadors, Holbein's The Ambassadors, and Slavoj Žižek and Miley Cyrus. I don't know how it relates to Miley Cyrus, but Kanye West, obviously collage relates to Kanye West, right? Like, that's all he does. He takes some music and puts this piece over here and this piece over here, and then steals whatever he wants. He did an album with Jay-Z, and Jay-Z raps something like, I'm liable to go Michael, Jackson, Jordan, take your pick, Like the year later, Kanye produced a CD, and it's like, if you ever had a title belt, you would know how Michael felt. Jackson, Jordan, Michael Phelps. It's like, he wasn't appropriating or collaging, he just took it. He just took it. That, it was his. So, why would I be interested in collage? Like, I'm interested in the way that those early modernist explorations challenged author, viewer, and object. That's great. I'm interested in that. So, similarly, I'm interested in digital collage because, do you know the jogging.tumblr.com? Anybody? Damn it. You should know that. Yeah, pull it up. It's great. It's a great Tumblr that is doing digital collage in the artistic context. They're not just, idiots. They're doing it artistically with wise eyes. And I think that website similarly challenges the object. I mean, they don't even technically exist. They challenge viewership in a way that we're here in a museum, but at a computer or a phone you can see those things. And they challenge authorship, like who's the author of that digital meme you just forwarded? Nobody. It's like a joke. Who's the author of a joke? Whoever tells it is the author of a joke. So I'm interested in collage in the way that this new digital collage is doing precisely what those early modernist explorations did, with as much power, I think.
So when we're talking about collage as appropriating found materials or found fragments, through that appropriation, they're given new value. And collage making practices, whether it's in music or art or architecture, they're appropriating techniques as well, often, not just materials. And so I was interested to hear what the panel thought in terms of to what extent artists, art students, architecture students working in collage should understand that legacy or genealogy that they're part of. I mean, does it need to be a conscious and intentional act?
Meaning, is it constructive to teach that lineage?
Is it not only to